Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Wellness Foreplay podcast. We are Dr. Dondi and Marcy Nettles. We are your hosts, and we are in part 3 of aging.
Yeah.
No, part 2.
No, this is part 3. This is part 3 because we had the original episode on aging, and then we talked about the first theory of aging, which is oxidative stress, or the free radical theory
of aging. Today we're talking about another prominent. The mitochondrial theory of aging.
So before we get going here, give your disclaimer.
We are not giving any information that is intended to prevent, treat, cure, or mitigate any diseases. We are giving information that is intended to educate you and allow you to be your best healthcare consumer, to take back your authority of your health and move forward accordingly.
So I am a former police detective. And
I am a former family wellness chiropractor.
And so we've come together to do investigations to where we can come up with the knowledge that we know is the foreplay to your optimal wellness. So hopefully you'll be able to pick 1 or 2 things from today's episode, implement it, and become a better you. Feeling, looking, performing all the way around, being exactly who you want to be.
My high school baseball coach, Bernie Moncalo, is watching.
Hey,
what
Bernie,
an honor
nice
and
to meet
privilege.
you.
Thanks, Coach.
Hi, Tammy. Hi, Ayla. It's so good to see you guys on here with us live. And by the way, if you're on here with us live, we love that.
Yes.
But we also so appreciate those of you that are replay or listening on the podcast. So let us know where you're coming in from. City, state, love to know where our reach is at. And if you're in another country, would love to know that too. And podcast viewers would love to hear from you too. Messages are great. You can actually connect with us at dondiandmarcy.com and send us a message there. Would love to hear from every single one of you. So let's get into this episode here.
17.
All right. So cool. So this is part 3 on aging, and we're going to be talking about the mitochondrial theory on aging. So how we do our podcast is we come to you with 1 topic each day, 4 different questions that we address. And the 4 questions for today are: number 1, what are mitochondria? Number 2, what does mitochondria have to do with aging? Number 3, what does mitochondrial decline feel like? That's a really important one, guys. So make sure that you're listening. And then number 4, what can we do to prevent the decline of or restore our mighty mitochondria?
Oh, I like it.
All right. Okay. So question number 1, what are mitochondria?
Mitochondria, if you remember if you had 9th grade chemistry or 9th grade biology, or if you studied anything about human cells, mitochondria are I like to use my hands when I talk about the mitochondria. They're like the powerhouses, as we learned, or just kind of consider it like a big bag of energy. It's what produces the energy inside your cells so that your cells have the energy they need to do the job that you're requiring them to do or relying on them to do.
Yeah, and a lot of the times we talk about cellular energy, people sometimes think about ATP, right? It's cellular energy. What is, do you know what is, I don't know what that is.
Adenotriphosphate.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. Is what ATP stands for.
You're amazing. That's why we do this together, right? Okay, so mitochondria also produce how much percentage of our energy that we use on a daily basis? Like 90%. Yeah. So it's really important that we know what's going on.
More than Starbucks.
Oh my God. Oh, heck yeah. And by the way, your mitochondria power you all day long, right? Constantly. Because if you don't have mitochondrial function, actually, if you lose mitochondrial function, it's like you die.
Well, not only that, if it's you die say for example, like strychnine, you poison the mitochondria in your body with strychnine, you're dead within 30 seconds. That's how important mitochondria is to your body. It's where all the energy that your cells require, it's the energy that they need, comes from the mitochondria. So the mitochondria is like the charged up batteries inside all of your cells, providing the cellular energy that you need in the form of ATP or adenotriphosphate.
Okay, awesome. And then it's responsible for our metabolism.
Yes.
How our body utilizes the food that we eat, the air that we breathe, all of that kind of stuff.
The downside to that, and we'll talk about it in one of the questions, is metabolism is actually damaging to the mitochondria. Oh. Even though the mitochondria is fueling the energy, providing the energy for metabolism, which is breaking down the food you eat into the cell structures or for the nutrition that make your cells. That process, because of what we talked about last episode, the free radicals, is actually what damages your mitochondria and all of your DNA.
And what's really interesting is that as we get older, the mitochondria stop producing and functioning the way that they did in the beginning.
They do. Yeah.
Okay, so that's what mitochondria are, all right? So that's from your 8th grade biology class. A lot of you will remember that information. But number 2 question is, what does mitochondria have to do with aging?
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
Such a good question there. So basically, because mitochondria are powering everything inside of our bodies, if we don't have the mitochondria being reproduced or functioning at the level that we need them, it affects every aspect of our life.
Yeah, and one of the things that's I feel like I'm putting my arm around you, then
It's
I bring it
okay.
back to be able to talk with my
It's
hands. So one of
okay.
the biggest theories, and then we're talking about theories of aging now. When it comes to diseases, scientists they're in agreement that one of the biggest contributors to disease in and of itself and the acceleration of the aging process, and the aging process is usually, or the cycle of aging is usually where these diseases show up. But because we lose the ability of our cells to make energy, which is why we are susceptible to diseases and why we age much more rapidly. So the whole aging process and the diseases that typically come in that stage of our lives are directly related, like intimately involved with mitochondria, because mitochondria is producing the energy that our cells need to do their job. And when they lack the energy, well, like anything else, when you run out of energy, you run out of life. And when that happens too long, we start to age much more gracefully, or much more rapidly rather, and we succumb to diseases.
Well, and what's really interesting is that it's like you're not just living and then you die, right?
No,
So you're living, and as your mitochondria decline is happening, it leads to so many different things. I mean, there's all kinds of bad body function as well as diseases that mitochondrial decline lead to.
Yeah.
And so it's really important to be educated on how you can change or affect your mitochondria in a positive way.
Absolutely.
So let's move on to question number 3. And that is, what does mitochondrial decline feel like? And this is where you really got to be listening, guys.
Let your ears perk up on this one.
Yeah. Listen to see if any of these resonate with you. I mean, are you feeling fatigue? How about brain fog, sluggishness, lack of motivation, delayed healing? That could be exterior wound healing, or it could be interior healing as well. How about vision decline, muscle weakness, confusion? How about hearing problems, learning disabilities, joint tension, lack of mobility? Are you slower moving around? Do you have any gut issues? How about headaches, difficulty breathing? And there's actually so many more. And that was a lot. I had to write these down so I wouldn't forget them all, right? So if any of that resonated with you, definitely need to dive into how your mitochondria are functioning. Are they eeny weeny, or are they mighty mitochondria?
Eeny weeny. I haven't said that in a long time.
Sorry.
So think about anything that requires energy in your body. If the energy starts to go down, then the effectiveness of whatever that is will also start to go down. So for things like if you slept 8 hours and the alarm clock goes off and you'd rather hit the snooze than get out of bed, and it has nothing to do with the environment of your room, it's cold outside and it's warm inside and you don't want to get out. I'm talking your body, your eyes wake up, but they want to go right back to sleep, and even though you've slept for 8 hours. So waking up tired is a very good indicator that your mitochondria are declining, because you don't have the healing. You're not getting the rest properly. Or like Marcy said, you get up and you try to move and you just feel stiff and your joints just don't move the way they used to, or you get injured and it takes a long time to heal. Energy is required to heal. So as these things start to happen, it's a very strong indicator that your mitochondria is on the decline. And it starts to show up, and it's in the mid to late 30s in its early stage. And we'll talk about stage 1 of aging and stage 2 of aging. Stage 1 is more about the communication of the mitochondria. Under the mitochondria picking up on the needs of the cell through chemical communication. That's stage 1. Maximize, and this is the most important stage. If you can catch mitochondria dysfunction in the early stages of aging, you're way better off. Most people, unfortunately, don't. It's into the second phase of aging, when we get into our 50s, 60s, and 70s, and now we start having mitochondrial damage or mutations or deletions. And did you know that mitochondria has its own DNA? Your cells have their DNA in the nucleus, and mitochondria has its own DNA. It's called mitochondrial DNA. So the DNA of the mitochondria start to break down, start to get mutated from what we talked about last episode, oxidative stress, free radical damage. And as a result, the mitochondria just don't produce the energy anymore that your cells and your body need them to. So that's the second phase of aging.
So can I just drink a stiff black cup of coffee and get the energy?
For temporarily, yeah.
But
It's
is it the
not
same
going to
kind of
be,
energy
not
or?
at all. No. External energy, caffeine as an example, or other types of stimulants is only about 10% of the energy that our bodies need. So it doesn't matter where it comes from in chemical form outside our bodies. When we take it from the outside and we bring it in, that's external stimulation. The body doesn't need that necessarily. If it has its own energy in the beginning, you can sleep 6 hours and wake up raring to go. When your body doesn't have its own energy because of mitochondrial decline, you can sleep 8 to 10 hours and wake up tired. So it's not how long you sleep, it's how you wake up and the state of mind you're in when you wake up, or how your body feels as an overall. Take an inventory. When your eyes open up, how am I feeling? Do I want to get out of bed? Am I raring to go? Am I excited? Do I feel like I got rest? And if those things are no, and that happens as we get past the 30s, 40s, and into our 50s, 60s, and 70s, this whole mitochondrial decline thing starts going like a snowball downhill.
Wow. Okay. So just like we were talking about in the last episode about antioxidants, the ones that we take from the outside in are just not as effective as the ones that we can produce ourselves in enzymes. Here, external energy stimulants, coffee, Red Bulls, energy drinks, all that kind of stuff, are not the same and not as effective as allowing our own mitochondria production and increasing those mitochondria can be, right? Okay.
Well, let me clarify. In the short term, like if you're working on 4 hours sleep from the night before and you have something really important you need to do, a cup of coffee is going to be your friend, or some no-dos or whatever method of external stimulant, and it can work very effectively, but it will wear off very rapidly and it will leave you in the same place you started when you took it. Whereas mitochondria, when we can take measures to improve our mitochondria, in other words, start getting those power factories, those energy factories inside our cells revved back up, we won't need those things. And that's really the thing. So external stimulation works temporarily. If we're looking for long-term energy, you can keep drinking coffee. It's not going to make a long-term benefit.
No.
It's only from internally where you get to the power at the source. That's the mitochondria. That's where the long-standing benefit comes from.
And I think one thing that's really important for every single one of us and keep in mind, guys, we're learning along the way with you. We're just sharing the things that we're learning because we think that that's beneficial and it's important for us as a people to have this knowledge together. But anything that you take from the outside too for a stimulant can have contradictions or it can have side effects, right? The jitters, it can drop you really fast when you're still expecting to have that energy going. It can drop you. For me, drinking coffee created gut issues for me with the acid. So there can be also those issues to look at. So it
could be very counterproductive because you could be too stimulated. Where you start to jitter and you have a delay in your reaction time, even though you're like all jacked up on Mountain Dew. If you've ever seen Talladega Nights, go Will Ferrell. But when it comes, you cannot overstimulate your own energy source.
No.
And when it happens inside your body will not overstimulate itself when we rely on the outside, because you can drink too many Monsters, you can drink too many Red Bulls and pay the consequences. Your heart could stop.
Oh yeah.
We have a friend who was an EMT and they would play around with themselves as they're testing out their new equipment. They drink a couple Red Bulls and check their own heart rate, and it was off the chart, putting them into what would be considered heart attack. So yeah, when you start messing with external stimulation to take the place of your own internal energy deficits, it could be short-term beneficial, but you could also be flirting with disaster.
Yeah. So, this is a really good point. So if you're a parent or if you're a grandparent out there and you've got teenage kids that you have an influence on, and by the way, guys, we're a community.
Yeah.
We influence kids around us all the time, whether they're blood related or not. This is important information to know so that when you see someone drinking, especially the energy drinks when they're a child, that can be really, really detrimental. And when I say a child, I'm talking about anybody that's under the age of 22 or maybe even older than that. I don't know. I should get older.
Yeah. I can relate to that.
All right. So let's move into question number 4 here because I think we're at a really good spot for that. And that is, what can we do to prevent the decline of or restore our mighty mitochondria? This is so important because there are things that we can do. We don't just have to live with how we're feeling or how things are happening to us. We can actually have some say in what goes on inside of us.
Good point. And it's one of those things, and I don't know, I'll be 56 this year on my birthday, and there's things in my life now that are past the age of doing. that I look back with regret. I wish I would have done that when I was younger. I wish I would have done that when my body could have handled it. Mitochondrial decline is one of those things. So it's when you, but there's also, you just know, when you learn something, you've learned it. You can't go back 30 years and I wish I would have learned that 30 years ago. That might be something, but you can't change that. So it's what you do with the information from here on out. So the best way to prevent mitochondrial decline or restore it if your body's already in the process is to start as early as possible. Start taking as early possible necessary measures to stimulate your mitochondrial in stage 1. Improve the communication between your cells and the mitochondria that provide the energy for their needs. And in stage 2, prevent as much mutations or repair as much mutations and deletions of your DNA, which is oxidative stress related. And it's more of what we talked about last episode, actually.
Yeah, very much so. And as a matter of fact, you're going to see that these episodes, the part 2, 3, and 4 of aging, actually, they work together. They're interlinked and they compound when you work on each one of them together. Okay. There's such a thing called synergy. It's when you've got the sum of the whole has greater benefit than each individual piece on its own. Okay. And so when we work together with all of these theories of aging, you're going to have a better benefit. And so one of the things that you can do to help your mitochondria is to make sure that you're doing everything that you possibly can to reduce oxidative stress. Remember, oxidative stress is what happens when free radicals are let loose inside of your cell and they create damage. That damage is called oxidative stress. So please make sure that you go back to episode number 16 and learn more about the free radical theory of aging. And by the way, reducing that damage is not only going to help you with a longer lifespan, but it's also going to give you better protection and benefit towards your mitochondria.
Absolutely. So intervene as quickly as possible, as early as possible in that lifespan, which is in this case yours, to help the mitochondria and the nucleus or the cells communicate so the mitochondria is able to produce the energy while it can. And then in the second phase of that, whenever you hear about it, do whatever you can to prevent mitochondrial damage. We talked about toxicity, because if you remember when I mentioned last episode, the book Never Be Sick Again by Raymond Francis, that talks about there's only 2 causes of diseases. All diseases have one common denominator: cellular malfunction. And there's only 2 causes of cellular malfunction: deficiency and toxicity. So if you're deficient, like if your cells are deficient, in this case, mitochondria, they don't have the energy to provide the needs of the cells, and the cells will slowly start to die, which accelerates the aging process. So what can we do to stop the deficiency or make sure that we have sufficient mitochondria? Don't be toxic. Eat good quality nutrition. Make sure that your carbohydrates, your fats and proteins are of good quality. Make sure you're getting enough exercise. Make sure you're hydrating your body. Make sure your body's resting. Make sure you're thinking positive thoughts rather than negative thoughts. A great way to do that is get into gratitude, the attitude of gratitude. You cannot think negatively and be in gratitude at the same time.
No.
So if you're negative, think of something you're grateful for. It changes your mind really, really quickly, changes your chemistry in your body really, really quickly, and gets the mitochondria back on track.
So that's something you could do really simply today. Start a gratitude journal, right? So pick 3 things that you're grateful for and just write it down. And it would be a great way to end the day too. Yeah, every single one of you. And we're also grateful for the opportunity to learn more and even be empowered ourselves to be able to make better choices so that we can live longer, happier lives, performing, being, and doing everything that we want to do, right? And I don't know what you're talking about that you can't do now that you wish you could do, because I plan on doing it all, guys. I plan on doing every single thing that I want to do. Anything that comes to my mind, I'm going to find a way to do it, right? But that's also because we're doing everything that we can to slow our aging. And participate in all these things that we're sharing with you. And one of those things that we're doing, and you're going to have to come in here with your doctor mind just a little bit and help us with the idea of triggering the NRF1 pathway. First of all, NRF1 pathway, what does that have to do with mitochondria?
Everything. So NRF is a fancy name for nuclear respiratory factor 1. It's a protein that actually stimulates the pathway that creates mitochondria. So inside your cell, your body creates more mitochondria when you have a deficit, it allows them to live longer and allows them to produce more ATP during their lifespan. So that's triggering the NRF1 pathway. You can do that with nutrition. You can do that with rest. You can do that with keeping your body healthy, not toxifying it, and making sure it's sufficient in the things that it may be deficient in. Good vitamins, minerals, nutrition, rest, water, positivity, things of that nature. And then there's now herbal ways to literally, like a light switch, go flip on that switch of NRF1 to trigger the mitochondrial response, to trigger your cells to start creating more mitochondria, allowing them to live longer and be bigger, and you have more energy.
You know, I love the term nutrigenomics.
Yes.
It's actually where you use nutrition and nutritional compounds to be able to positively affect your DNA. And as Dondi mentioned, your mitochondria have their own DNA.
Yeah.
That's so cool. And so through nutrition and nutritional compounds, you can actually flip that switch. You can turn on, if you will, that NRF1 pathway. And if you're going to look up NRF1, it's all capitals.
Yeah.
NRF
all caps
with a numeral
number
one. Okay. So if you're going to look that up, go there. And if you want additional information, we've got a plethora of it for you that we can share. Just go to dondiandmarcy.com and contact us through the contact option there and ask your questions. Would love to be able to have some interaction with you and to be able to provide this information, because we truly are in this together. We want to be on this planet as long as possible and would love to do it with each one of you, right? So anything else you want to add in here on the second theory of aging?
Just on the NRF1, if you're more of a visual person, we can give you some nice, amazing pictures with some really good information to it too. So if you'd like some more of that information, like Marcy said, go to dondiandmarcy.com, send us a request and we'll get some over to you.
Yeah. And so right now we want to actually, now that this episode 17 is a wrap, we want to,
news.
We do have some great exciting news. So we want to first of all congratulate the winner of our raffle. You can hold that up, and for the viewers, the audios, we're showing a tub.
Daily Wellness. This is what we were talking about a few episodes back on how within 2 hours to prime your immune system to get it working more positively with 5 to Thrive, which, if you remember, was vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, elderberry, and fermented yeast extract. The combination is off the charts amazing.
Yeah, it really is. So we want to congratulate the winner of the raffle. That's David Lucas from Jackson, Mississippi. So congratulations, David Lucas, for winning the raffle. And for us, we'll be contacting you for your mailing address so that we can ship you out this tub.
Thank you all.
30-day supply of Daily Wellness. And cheers to drinking your way to a healthy day, David.
And David, you can try it hot.
Oh, so good.
We drink it in the morning with hot water mixed in. It's amazing.
Yeah. And so many thanks to every single one of you that did enter. We'll be reaching out with a special $10 off coupon discount code that we can help you with your, health journey. We're excited to get you kick-started.
Thanks everybody for entering.
Yeah. And by the way, next episode, cannot wait. I bet you're all dying to know
wrapping it up.
What part 4 of aging is and which one is the final theory on aging that's most prominent in the world today. So we look forward to sharing that with you next episode, which if you join us live, it'll be next Monday. All right, guys, take care. Thanks for joining us.
God bless everybody. See you next episode. Bye-bye.